We're going to stop acting like anytime we hear the name Maverick Carter, it doesn't include LeBron James.
It
We're
does.
not falling for that lie anymore. We're not trying to hear that, because LeBron James aspires to become an owner of an NBA team, preferably
That's a good
an
point.
expansion franchise to be placed in Vegas. It's not just the money that you have to have. It also has to be a board of governors consisting of those other NBA owners, along with the commissioner's office, who wants you to be an owner in their league.
True.
And I'm here to tell you right now, everybody don't want that for LeBron James. He's to blame in a lot of those owners' eyes. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. I ain't guessing. I'm telling you what I know. And because that's the reality, when it comes time for him to want to be an owner, and they get to say yay or nay, even when there are other comparable offers on the table, who's to say they got to pick LeBron James when they can find somebody else?
Stephen A. Smith talks about LeBron James becoming an owner of an NBA team. Check out what he had to say, and then I'll come back with my comments.
I got to get started with some sports business news involving LeBron James' longtime business partner, Maverick Carter. Maverick, he's been hired as an advisor by a group of investors seeking to raise $5 billion to form an international basketball league that would essentially rival the NBA. The story was first reported by Bloomberg. The investor group, which includes multiple private equity funds, wants to form the league made of 6 men's teams and 6 women's teams playing games around the world. By the way, LeBron James is reportedly not involved in the efforts of this new league. As for the NBA, they have not faced a significant rival 5-on-5 league since the 1970s, when it merged with the American Basketball Association and absorbed 4 of its teams: the Pacers, the Nets, the Nuggets, and the San Antonio Spurs. Don't expect this to be competition either. Let's get that out the way right now.
It could be, but it depends on the technical fouls. Are there going to be taunting fouls if you look at the opponent after a dunk or kind of mean mug someone? So I want to see how the rules are going to be, but you never know.
It's not going to be competition. It's not going to be some 5-on-5 league rivaling the United States, the National Basketball Association, to be specific. First of all, most places don't have the money. Not in Europe. Most of the money goes to their soccer talent. Not in other places, just primarily the Middle East. And what's the chances of you getting guys, particularly superstars, to form some kind of league, some kind of 5-on-5 league? It's not going to happen. So let's just get that out the way first. Secondly, we're going to get another thing out of the way.
Well, can it rival the Big Three? The Big Three, they're trying to move up in the ranks. It's tough for them, but people are still checking for them. So if you got Maverick Carter and even a LeBron James co-sign with a couple $1 billion at stake, it could at least rival the Big Three and compete with that, and then see if you can compete with the NBA one day.
We're going to stop acting like anytime we hear the name Maverick Carter, it doesn't include LeBron James.
It
We're
does.
not falling for that lie anymore. We're not trying to hear that. Now, I love me some Maverick Carter. He's a good brother, and he's done great things, and I'm happy for him. And I applaud LeBron James for always looking out for his boys, whether it's Maverick Carter, whether it's Rich Paul, whether it's Randy Mims. It doesn't matter who it is. All of them have done well for themselves, and they deserve all the love and respect one could give them, especially in the case of Maverick and Rich Paul. Especially in their cases. Rich Paul has proven to be an absolutely outstanding agent. Clutch Sports is Clutch Sports. You can't deny the work that he's been doing. In the case of Maverick, there's a lot of power brokers that love and respect Maverick Carter. But we're going to stop acting like this has nothing to do with LeBron James.
Oh, of course it does. If you see Maverick Carter, Rich Paul, anybody within that circle, just know that LeBron James is in the background making plays and trying to make things move. So, of course, Maverick Carter means LeBron James.
LeBron James got his fingerprints all over stuff like that. Doesn't matter what it is. Now, I understand in this particular instance why you want to make sure to let the world know you have nothing to do with this, because LeBron James aspires to become an owner of an NBA team, preferably
That's a good
an
point.
expansion franchise to be placed in Vegas as opposed to Seattle or someplace else. And that's where this story really takes fold. Because let me tell y'all something. LeBron James is reportedly worth about $1.2 billion. To get an expansion franchise in the NBA in Las Vegas, it would cost about $7 billion.
Well, I think LeBron James can do that. Maybe this is strategic by him. He don't want to put his name on anything else outside of the NBA. If he really wants to own a Las Vegas team, him being worth $1.1 billion, I'm sure he can get investors and a group to put up another $6 or $7 billion to try to get that team in Las Vegas if that's next up for the NBA.
Obviously, equity in the NBA via ownership of a franchise is very, very important. We understand it. We get it. No doubt. But let me be very, very clear to you. That ain't all it takes. In order to become an owner of an NBA team, it's not just the money that you have to have. It also has to be a board of governors consisting of those other NBA owners, along with the commissioner's office who wants you to be an owner in their league.
True.
And I'm here to tell you right now, everybody don't want that for LeBron James. See, we're going to be real about LeBron James. We should miss him once he's gone. We should treasure his greatness and the commitment to excellence that he has clearly had in being in considerable shape and conditioning to be as phenomenally great as he has been in his entire career, being number 2 on the Mount Rushmore of basketball, in my eyes, behind everybody but ahead of everybody rather, but Michael Jordan. But he's the same LeBron James that decided to take his talents from Cleveland to South Beach. And former Cleveland Cavaliers owner Dan Gilbert had to find out on the news like everybody else.
Yeah, wasn't the best look for LeBron James leaving Cleveland that way, but I'm not sure if that's going to turn people away. But maybe owners feel a certain way about that because he did start the domino effect as far as superstar players switching teams.
He's the same LeBron James that I personally will contest has ruined the slam dunk contest and arguably All-Star Weekend. You got people, once upon a time, it was Jordan, it was David Thompson before him, the Connie Hawkins, the Julius Irvins of the world, ultimately the Vince Carters and the Tracy McGrady's and the Kobe Bryants of the world. All stars with an aerial assault to their game participated in the slam dunk contest until LeBron James decided not to be one of those dudes.
Well, you know, LeBron James, he is calculated, so he probably didn't want to have a terrible dunk contest people would remember from today. So it was strategic by him. He may overdo it at times, but he can't afford to look bad on a huge stage.
He wanted to use layup lines prior to games to do all of that, teasing the NBA and its fan base into salivating for him and clamoring for him to be a participant in the slam dunk contest, and he never did it. And then last year happened. You might not remember this. Dr. J. Julius Irvin, Larry Bird, guys like that walk in and they want to talk to LeBron James. And when they want to talk to LeBron James, they want to talk to the team, the NBA All-Star team. And LeBron James obviously was one of those guys. And they wanted to talk to them about taking it seriously and putting forth a decent effort and going out there and competing for the fans. And the NBA thought that those guys reached those All-Stars inside their soul, until they saw LeBron James give the players a side eye. And once that happened, they went out there and embarrassingly allowed nearly 400 points to be scored, playing no defense whatsoever.
Well, we know the All-Star game is trash, so I don't expect players to take it that serious, but I know owners are petty, but if they're holding that against LeBron and his potential ownership group to try to get a Las Vegas team, you know, it is what it is. But me personally, if I had a LeBron James that wanted to become an owner, everything he's done for the NBA, the moves he made outside of the NBA, I would want him a part of an ownership group. But again, owners are petty.
And what's inexcusable about it, ladies and gentlemen, is that when you are working out in the summertime, playing pickup basketball with your contemporaries, you play harder than these guys play on All-Star Weekend.
That's true.
And they know it. They have ruined All-Star Weekend. I want no parts of All-Star Weekend.
I'm still going to talk about it
because of what they've done to the game. The three-point shooting contest is the only contest worth watching. The slam dunk contest ain't worth watching. The new rules that have been implemented in order to try something new and different and make it more competitive, it would be necessary if you went out there and played with a shred of effort. But they didn't care. And when they look to leaders, just the same way everybody looked at LeBron when it came to playing in the bubble during, like Patrick Beverly has said back then, let us all stop fronting. Let's stop BSing. We all gonna do what LeBron does. We all gonna do what LeBron wants us to do. We all know it. That's what he said, because LeBron was that kind of leader. And so that kind of impactful individual can go a long way towards doing things where you don't have to worry about load management as much. You're not looking for your next deal the second you sign this deal and all of that other nuance, all those other nuances that come with it. people look at LeBron James. Fear or not,
Well, in that case, that means he can get a Kevin Durant, a Steph Curry, your top 10 players within the last 10 or 15 years come up with their ownership group and own a team. So if he can lead the troops that way, that Pat Bev was saying in the bubble, he can do the same thing as far as being an owner in the NBA. Let me gather up all the all-stars and we're going to come to the table with billions of dollars.
he's to blame in a lot of those owners' eyes. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. I ain't guessing. I'm telling you what I know. And because that's the reality, when it comes time for him to want to be an owner, and they get to say yay or nay, and there are, even when there are other comparable offers on the table, who's to say they got to pick LeBron James when they could find somebody else? Particularly in this day and age of hedge funds, private equity, etc., when they can pick somebody else. Now, that's not to rule out it being impossible, because all of us should be demanding that LeBron James, if he wants to become an owner and he has the assets and resources necessary to have equity in an NBA franchise, he should be allowed to do that.
I'm not necessarily demanding LeBron James be an owner of a team, but it just makes money sense. Just again, think about how much money he generated for the NBA in 22 years, billions of dollars. Imagine what he can do as an owner. He's going to multiply that times 10 or 20 over like a 30, 40-year span.
He's done too much for the game for you not to do that for him. But some of the owners feel otherwise. And when it's time for him to get his comeuppance in any way they can deliver it to him, chances are some of them will. I'm telling you what I know. So when you saw this story about a 5-5 team and LeBron James has nothing to do with this, what Maverick Carter does, that's bad enough for them. Because even though it's not a threat, how dare you support anything that would compromise our bottom line? That's how they'll think. And it doesn't even have to be accurate. It'll just be an excuse to have negative feelings towards LeBron. Because some owners look for it anyway. Some executives for other teams look for it anyway. He is not the most liked dude in the world.
I hear you, Steve.
Not in NBA circles. That's just a fact. I'm not saying he did anything wrong. I'm not blaming him. I'm just telling you there are people in very powerful positions associated with the NBA who feel otherwise. I'm not guessing. I'm telling you what I know. I'm telling you what I know. So it would behoove LeBron, if he wants ownership down the line, to try and play nice with some people just to get things done.
I hear you, Stephen A. I know you got insiders in the NBA circle, so you know what's going on behind the scenes, especially when it comes to LeBron James and the temperature around him. But if I'm a businessman, the NBA commissioner, a players commissioner, I just think LeBron James is going to be in front line, especially if he just wants that Las Vegas team or ownership stake in the team. I just think it'll make business sense to keep LeBron James a part of the NBA for as long as possible. We've seen it with MJ, and now we're going to see it with LeBron within the next 4 to 5 years. But we'll see what happens if LeBron James becomes an owner of a team, and we'll see if Maverick Carter's rival league can compete with the NBA.